So yes, what I'm going to do is just cover off the activity for the past year within the Accessibility Initiative, and also give a sort of overview of what we're planning on for the next year and where our thinking's going with that. So just a quick introduction to the team for those of you that don't know. We have 4 people currently in the Web Accessibility Initiative team. Sean Lawton-Henry is WAY Program Lead. She directs collaboration on vision, strategy, priorities, and has responsibility for communication activities and education materials. I am the team contact for the Accessibility Guidelines Working Group. I've got oversight of the other working groups and task forces within accessibility as well. And I also help kind of deliver the technical platform for all the WAY resources that we deliver through the site. And I also provide some support to SIS team for ensuring accessibility of the core W3 site as well. Sean and we kind of take on a shared responsibility for the overall strategy for WAY. So while she kind of leads in it, we're both involved in that. Daniel Montalvo is an accessibility specialist and team contact in ARIA working group and the WCAG2 ICT and ACT task forces. Lots of acronyms, all on the website. I'm going to avoid, for the purposes of time, going into them all. Daniel's also got coordination work in harmonization of the standards across the globe as much as possible, and liaises with other standards organizations on accessibility. And finally, Roy is the team contact for the Accessible Platform Architectures Working Group, who deal with a lot of the horizontal reviews for accessibility and other bits, which we'll go into. He's also involved heavily in coordination, promotion, harmonization of web accessibility standards in China. We're trying to expand out the team, and we've got 2 roles, one of which is just closed, which is for an accessibility content specialist. So we're just working through about 250 applications for that role. And we've also got a web technical specialist. The current thinking for these roles is to assist with a lot of the development of our training resources, particularly for the content specialist, and also for the technical specialist, looking at how we are delivering the WAY website, but also looking at how we're kind of structuring and delivering the technical architecture and build for the WCAG guidelines and the supporting materials, just to make sure that that's sustainable. So, whistle-stop tour of the activity of WAY over the last year. So big one is WCAG 2.2 got published. WAY ARIA 1.3, first public working draft that was published, and a couple of WAY ARIA modules, or the WAY ARIA modules DPUB ARIA and DPUB AAM. They've been published with calls for implementation, which is great. We've also, on the kind of training materials side and the support materials side, there's been a lot of publications. One of the big ones was Easy Checks, which was significantly revised and published. A lot of these resources are provided to help people get on the path of understanding accessibility and understanding the standards that are available. Accessibility Guidelines Working Group, that's been rechartered and started off, which is done sort of October time. And within that, we've also got the Mobile Accessibility Task Force has restarted, which is really, really good. We've got a new chair in there, or a new facilitator in there, a lot more expanded interest, a lot of people sort of coming into that task force just now. And they're just putting the finishing touches to a work statement for their activities for the next year and a half. Within this and within the AG working group in particular, we're also continuing the work on WCAG 3. That's looking at developing the sort of first draft of outcomes, which are kind of equivalent to success criteria in WCAG 2.2. So they're at the first draft stage. We're slowly working through those, working through how we're going to look at things like publishing, conformance, the whole gamut around about WCAG 3. In terms of work that's progressing, so not so much deliverables, but a lot of work has been done on things like WAY-Adapt, which is a standard that's looking at, or a recommendation that's looking at supporting personalization for web experiences. We've also got work on spoken presentation to support text-to-speech synthesis, the accessibility maturity model, which is a framework for evaluating and improving organizational accessibility and thinking about that across the whole organization. ARIA Notify is on the cards as well. That's looking at more granular and robust notification management attributes. And again, on the education side of things, there's a long time used resource called How People with Disabilities Use the Web, which is there to help people develop better understanding of disabilities, assistive technology, and the potential barriers that are faced. An update to that has been on the go for the past year and a bit. We're hopefully going to get that one finished soon. We've also done a huge amount of work on Way translations, which has been fantastic. We got WCAG 2.2 published in an authorized, or in Italian, has been published as an authorized translation. We've also got candidates for Catalan, Dutch, and Brazilian Portuguese. We're also looking at planning, so that's a slightly earlier stage of authorized translations for Arabic, simplified Chinese, French, and Russian. Those are the authorized translations of this WCAG standard itself. A lot of the resources that are helping people get an understanding of accessibility are also being translated quite heavily by a vast array of volunteer translators. So there's a lot of additional resources. I'm not going to cover them all, but linked off to the range of those that are available. Okay, so looking forward to 2024 and our goals, Sean and I have been looking at this quite a lot just to try and understand what we need to do and largely what we're going to have the capacity to do. There's a mismatch between those two, so we need to do a lot more than we've got capacity for. So a lot of these things, they're goals, but it's probably goals just to get them started. We're looking a lot at standards harmonization again, around about WCAG 2.2. The big one for that is moving that forward for ISO. And we've started that process, and hopefully that will see some traction, or strong traction this year. Daniel's leading on that with support from the likes of Philippe. We've got, for those of you that aren't aware, there's a free W3C accessibility course that is available. It's a great course. It's had a lot of use over the years since it was created, and I can't remember how long that's been. But it's desperately needing a revision. So we're looking at that. This is probably the primary goal for the content strategist when we get them on board, is to start looking at that course, revising it, probably updating it into 2 separate courses and making it freely available again. We also want to continue the work on translations and developing that a lot further and keeping that traction going. So that's some of the goals. Moving on, there was mention yesterday about how do we kind of engage with the global south. That's again a big one in terms of our thinking. So we're looking at how do we define a plan to better address digital accessibility in global south and get engagement from that region. That's something, again, I think we'll probably get started but won't finish, so hopefully we'll keep that moving. We're also keen on ensuring that as diverse a range of people as possible can participate within the groups. So we're looking at how do we improve the guidance for contributors, how do we improve underrepresented stakeholder engagement within the accessibility group specifically, but also hopefully W3C more broadly. Another aspect of content development is the Way website itself, and access to the resources is overdue for a look at how are we leading people through those resources and helping them understand accessibility, particularly people that are new to accessibility, and supporting them getting a good start on developing their knowledge and improving accessibility in their organisations. And finally, the big part of the Mobile Accessibility Task Force, and are very kind of pleased to get going with that, but it's to provide updated guidance on mobile accessibility. The current working group note is covering WCAG 2, so it's well out of date, really needs a good look at, and that's kind of going to be the primary goal for that task force.